So, the Game Awards happened. There's a few things that were announced there that I feel the need to talk about, because people are constantly asking me for my opinions on them. So, firstly, Joker stole all of our hearts and we never saw it coming by him being invited to Smash. Overall, I'm pretty hyped about this. I definitely approve. Considering Persona Q exists, I was actually very slightly suspecting that something Persona related may have showed up in Smash eventually. And Persona 5 seems like it's been a hit with both casual and longtime fans of the series, and its protagonist is generally very well liked. Except apparently in the anime, where apparently he has almost no characterization, but I've never watched the P5 anime. And with Persona Q coming out soon in English, and it's already just out in Japanese, on a Nintendo platform, yeah, it is definitely the perfect time. He definitely has moveset potential. I'm wondering if they'll work his wildcard ability into his moves, kind of like Shulk's Monado switching system. Now, I have seen an article on Smash Wiki that claims to have a full list of his movesets, and that his stage will be the Casino of Envy, and it has a full list of all the songs that will be on that stage. But given that we haven't seen any gameplay, and given that Sakurai says that anytime he announces a DLC character, that character is still in development, I'm inclined to believe that this is all lies. Though some of the moves are pretty good guesses, like I'm pretty sure his final smash is gonna be the all-out attack. Although given the Smash Bros. Series' love of massive spoilers, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the way he takes down the final boss either. The again presumably made with no evidence Smash Wiki article on his potential stage does have a few things that I would like to see, namely it lists music from Persona 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But again, there's no real evidence to support this as far as I know. I do have a feeling that the majority of the music that does get into his stage will be just ripped directly from the original games with virtually no remixes. And I also feel like, and this is something else that the wiki kind of predicted, that much of his voice lines are just going to be stock clips from Persona 5, like his level up quotes or his quotes for writing in his diary. Actually, I wonder what his victory theme is going to be. This game seems to have gone all out with giving a lot of characters unique victory themes. His actual battle victory theme from Persona 5 feels a bit too subdued to work as a Smash victory theme, so I'm guessing he's gonna get an original one that's based off of Last Surprise or Life Will Change. One big thing that comes out of Joker's reveal in Smash is the possibility of a Switch port of Persona 5. I'd be all for that. But nothing's been confirmed, so we'll just have to wait and see. I was hoping that Cloud's inclusion in the last Smash would have led to a Wii U port of the remake of Final Fantasy VII, but that never happened and then the Wii U died. So, not getting my hopes up for now. Not really much else I can say. I'm hyped for this, and I'm glad to see that there seems to have been, at least from the places that I've frequented, a lot of positivity around this announcement, unlike some other characters in this game. Seriously, I don't like how the Smash Bros. Fandom has gone from, wow, isn't it cool that this character got in, to, oh, how dare this character get in when all of my favourite characters didn't and they deserve it so much more. I actually have a silly headcanon for the story of World of Light. I see Galeem as the embodiment of the fanbase's salt, and it seeks to kill every Smash Bros. Rep who has ever had any complaining about them, which, unfortunately for the world, is all of them. But enough about that. Joker's inclusion is definitely tempting me to get this game. I used to be really into Smash Brothers, but the series has focused far more on multiplayer than single player in recent installments. I know this one seems to be adding a little bit more single player content, but I have sort of lost interest because it's starting to feel like the series isn't fun anymore unless you play competitive. Which, well, I don't. But yeah, this may change my mind, and with Joker as our first DLC character, the only question is, who are going to be our others? My personal dream is still Crash Bandicoot. If he gets in as well as Joker, I'm definitely buying the game. And this actually leads me into the second thing I want to talk about in this video. There was another announcement at the Game Awards that far less people are talking about, but it's one that I'm actually pretty hyped for. A bit of background info though. So, there's a game from my childhood that I was actually kind of considering recording, maybe even soon, because it would be a very short, relaxing project after how long Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn went on for. A recent remake increased the exposure of this character a lot, and I thought, you know what, I might as well play this game because they haven't done a remake of it yet, and it's very unlikely they will. And then this happened! I saw that coming even less than the announcement of Joker in Smash. I don't know how many people out there had the same experience as I did as a child. I was a kind of a strange hybrid Nintendo-Sony kid, and I was never really into console rivalries. I got whatever console had games I liked, which happened to, at the time, be both PlayStation and Nintendo. As a result, I grew up with Crash Team Racing instead of Mario Kart, while still growing up with games like Pokemon. The original Crash Team Racing always holds a special place in my heart, and in fact, I can go back and play it and still really enjoy it. It's a Mario Kart clone, but a very, very good one. It came out at a time when Mario Kart clones were kind of the in thing. There was both it and Diddy Kong Racing. But since I never owned a Nintendo 64, Crash Team Racing was my first experience with kart races. And it, ironically for a competitor, served as my gateway to Mario Kart, because later on I get a GameCube and Mario Kart Double Dash, and my love of the Mario Kart series just sped on from there. So yes, I was considering doing a video series on the original Crash Team Racing, but now that a remake's been announced, I might actually be recording the remake someday. And it'll be releasing on Switch, which means I can have it portably, which is nice. Also, online play, I'd normally be really hyped about that, except I just realized that now every single console it's available on is paid online. Dang it. I do still have a few concerns about the game, though. The first one is, there has been a pretty big rush of PlayStation 1 remakes. You've had the Crash N. Sane trilogy, which did really well, and then the Spyro Reignited trilogy, and now this. It is starting to feel a little bit like a nostalgia cash grab, which is what I was worried that Spyro Reignited would be. I was worried they only did it because the Crash trilogy sold so well. However, having played a lot of Reignited Spyro recently, it's actually a very good remake. It's not perfect, but they didn't majorly screw it up, and it's still just as enjoyable today as it was all those years ago. I've had a lot of fun with the Reignited trilogy. So as long as they put the time and effort into this remake and don't just treat it like a nostalgic cash grab, I'm okay with it. But here's the main thing I'm worried about regarding this game. The original came out when Mario Kart only had 2 installments, the original and Mario Kart 64. The remake is coming out at a time when Mario Kart has had 8, not counting deluxe versions. And in particular, Mario Kart 8, at least to me, is an absolutely phenomenal racing game, and it's going to be very hard to top it. The Mario Kart series has had a very long time to refine its gameplay, so while the original definitely stood up to Mario Kart back in the day, in fact, a lot of people consider it better than Mario Kart 64, including me, the remake is essentially going to be an almost 20 years old game, going up against the latest installment in a series that's had its gameplay constantly adapted and refined for even longer than that. I'm sure it will be a perfectly enjoyable game to fans of the original, but it's got a big uphill climb if it wants to compete with Mario Kart 8. There are also a few aspects of its gameplay that I feel may not have aged well. For one, if you hated the blue shell in Mario Kart, oh boy, Crash Team Racing's equivalent hits everyone ahead of you, not just the person in first place. There's also the way that drifting and mini-turbos work in Crash Team Racing. Anyone who played the time trials as much as I did as a kid remembers how it was kind of murder on the fingers. Basically, you have to be constantly tapping the shoulder buttons while you're drifting. But we'll see how they handle those when the game gets closer to release. I'm still very excited because it's yet another game from my childhood that I'll get to re-experience and hopefully show other people who didn't experience it during their childhood. The game has some very fun tracks and there's a lot of really, really cool shortcuts. Oh, and for those who haven't played it, the game is a lot more like Diddy Kong Racing than Mario Kart in the sense of its single player. It actually does have a full adventure mode, rather than just cups to race on. And every track has its own set of collectibles that all involve different styles of races, so there's quite a lot to do in the game. I especially love the way that time trials are handled during the story missions. They combine traditional racing time trials with Crash Bandicoot 3's time freezing crates, and if you break all the crates over the course of 3 laps, you get 10 seconds deducted from your final time, so in true Crash Bandicoot fashion, you're encouraged to break every crate in the level. While you're all here, I can give a bit of a quick update on video progress. So I've recorded the final chapter's preparations, and I'm ready to start recording Endgame. However, I'm running out of recording time for this week before I have to go back to work, and I don't exactly want to start Endgame until I can upload all 5 parts of Endgame on consecutive days. It just feels weird to start on Endgame and then have to stop for a few days. I hope you can understand that, but I just feel it will be better that way. I'll use the time during work days to work on my 10th anniversary best moments video, which I've actually got quite a lot of that done already. I just have the Awakening playthrough and a few other things to go. As for what's next, recently I've been replaying Persona Q just to refamiliarize myself with the game, because it has been a few years since I last played it. A lot of it is still how I remember. I'm gonna need to get used to how actually kind of different the battle system is to mainline Persona, specifically the way that characters act in order of agility instead of sort of randomly. I'm definitely leaning more towards doing this as my next project because it feels like it's the perfect time to do a Persona game on a Nintendo system, considering that Joker just got into Smash, and that Persona Q2 will be coming out hopefully early next year. The main thing I've noticed so far going through it is this didn't hit me as much when I first played Q, because back then I hadn't played Persona 3 in years, but ever since having done a full video series that went on for a very long time on Persona 3, holy crap, Persona Q Akihiko is terrible. It's not even Akihiko, it's basically a totally different character possessing Akihiko's body. Thankfully, there's only really 2 characters, including him, that I consider especially ruined in Q, the other being Teddy. I don't really mind much of the other characters. But in the first dungeon especially, I'm gonna be ranting a lot about Akihiko, and then one moment during the 4th dungeon, which is his worst moment in the game by far. The other thing that I'm considering at the moment in terms of making videos is that I'm actually right now, I know that I really want to do a Trails series game, but right now I'm very torn between starting with Cold Steel as I was going to do originally, or starting with Trails in the Sky like you're supposed to. Thinking about it, starting with Sky does have its advantages. The first Sky is a lot shorter, so it would be less of a stressful series for me. And given what I know about Cold Steel 3 and 4, a lot about Sky becomes relevant there. Also, the Sky games are far more overlooked than the Cold Steel games are, and I definitely want them to get more appreciation. Also, Sky 1 I feel is a better introduction to the world and the overall setting than Cold Steel 1 is. So those are the pros. But Cold Steel also has a few advantages for me. For one, I like its gameplay a lot better than Sky, I like its characters a lot more than Sky, which is mostly thanks to Cold Steel having full voice acting, even more in the PC version, and Sky only having voice acting in battles. It's a lot more accessible than the Sky games are, and there's also one very weird thing that I'm obsessing over, and that's the fact that a certain side character's big reveal is done, I feel, far better in Cold Steel than it is in Sky. Basically, there's an unseen NPC named Phantom Thief B, who's a recurring side quest character, and eventually their identity is revealed in a big moment. In the Sky games, you meet the character's real identity, and they basically just go, oh, by the way, I'm Phantom Thief B, and it's not really relevant to anything. Cold Steel has a proper mystery side quest where you eventually find clues to deduce Phantom Thief B's identity yourself, which I personally feel is far more satisfying. Why am I so concerned about this? Well, Phantom Thief B, or rather their real identity, ends up becoming a major player in the series. The flip side to this, though, is that playing Cold Steel first ruins a massive spoiler about a character in Sky. So I'm gonna have to think about this for a while, and it's very hard to get audience input on this because so few people have played the Trails games. But anyway, that's all for this updates video, and I will see you next time for more Radiant Dawn.